A Vietnamese real estate tycoon has been sentenced to death in one of the country's largest financial fraud cases ever. Property developer Truong My Lan was sentenced yesterday for swindling cash from one of Vietnam's largest banks for over a decade. Now, Lan denied the charges and blamed her subordinates. So joining us now from London is CBS News foreign correspondent Ramy Inocencio to talk a little bit more about the case. You know, Ramy, I think part of the reason why this case has caught so much attention here in the U.S. is white-collar crime here gets you a trip to, a country club paid for by the U.S. taxpayers, not the death penalty.
No, not the death penalty. And that is what makes this case that much more extraordinary. And also, it's one of the biggest cases of financial fraud in the world, not just involving Truong My Lan, but 85 other people linked to her across Vietnam. And those losses of $27 billion that you just mentioned, that equals to about 6% of Vietnam's GDP. And to put that in perspective, if someone did the same in the U.S. with its bigger GDP, right? That would be equivalent, get this, to the loss of $1.6 trillion. And that is how massive this fraud case is to Vietnam and why Truong was given the death sentence at her hearing. Now, the court convicted her of actually taking out $44 billion in loans from a bank, which she actually controlled through a network of shell companies, basically milking it as her own cash cow. Prosecutors said she even ordered her driver, interestingly, to withdraw $4 billion. It's almost unfathomable to think about this, from the bank over 3 years and then to stash it in her basement. A little note is that all that cash would weigh at least 2 tons sitting in her basement. And she was able to do this because she had friends in high places. One of them was the Communist Party chief of Ho Chi Minh City, the capital. But after he retired about several years ago, she lost her patron effectively, and the things started to crumble around her, and she was finally arrested. But politically, Vietnam's government has been on this massive crusade to stamp out corruption. The concern is that it would weaken support for the party and the politicians itself. Now, as for Truong, there's the belief that her death sentence will be commuted and that the court is basically just trying to force her to pay back at least some of that massive amount of $44 billion that she stole. Anne-Marie.
Let's see what's left over in that basement. Ramy,
yeah.
Thank you.